So I use Fiery Brand, Demon Spikes, Fell Devastation. I'm out of cooldown, time to fly!
Why are you running? Don't you know I'm a wheelchair class?
Sorry, man. That's what we demon hunters do when we're out of cooldowns.
Man, fuck your Parker ass Mexican bean jumping motherfucking bullshit. My pony doesn't understand this.
Cooldown's back. Time to fight again. Oh, no more cooldowns. Gotta make like a banana and split.
God damn these high mobility tanks. Why can't you be like a warrior or a druid and take it to the face? Like your mom!
Because this is the meta, man. Listen, don't worry. I'll teach you the talents, rotation, covenants, legendaries, and more. But first, leapfrog!
Hey, before we start, how about you subscribe already? I mean, aren't you tired of only seeing our videos in your recommendation feed? Don't you want to see all the other cool stuff that we do? We do a lot of awesome shit, I'm telling you. You can also give a nice like after watching the video because that helps a lot. No, seriously, YouTube really likes when you like the video. Now go ahead and clicky or vengeance will rain upon you. On the first row, you will take Agonizing Flames as the best talent in all situations. The 50% increased duration on Immolation Aura has multiple synergies with talents, conduits, legendaries, and on top of that, this talent gives you movement speed as well. One of those synergies, mainly with the Charred Flesh talent, will also result in this being a defensive option as well, unlike the other talents on this row. Abyssal Strike is also a good pick on this talent row, especially with the Spirit Bomb build talent. It will provide you with 8 seconds reduced cooldown on Infernal Strike, and it will make Infernal Strike leave a sigil of flame on the ground every time you use it. This cooldown reduction will result in almost 2 more Infernal Strikes per minute, thus more mobility plus more AoE and single target. The defensive component Abyssal Strike provides is 0, useless. You can count the mobility it provides, making you jump like crazy while carrying mobs around in dungeons as a defensive, which is pretty much everything you'll do as a DH in Higher Mythic Plus. In the next row, Burning Alive will be the default all-around pick. It will make your Fiery Brand spread like Warlocks spread their seeds. Fiery Brand will jump to a new target, but only from your main target, so the downside is that the spread is limited, but the defensive potential of this talent is massive. Another good thing about this talent is that all the brands that are spread will benefit from Charred Flesh, making you face these mobs as long as you like until they die. No more kiting, yay! Fallout will be the alternative pick, especially with the Spirit Bomb build. It will make the initial fire damage caused by Immolation Aura have a big chance to shatter a soul fragment from the target it hits. Having so many souls to work with will make this talent a very good defensive and offensive option. Why? Because I said so, that's why. Well, because the extra souls will be consumed and heal you automatically, or you can just explode those spirit bombs like crazy. On the level 30 row, we will have the build-defining talents. Charred Flesh, most commonly picked by the Kyrians, will be the default pick for the Fury Brand build and Legendary. It will make each Immolation Aura tick extend the duration of all Fiery Brands around the world by 0.5 seconds, so more mitigation and more damage. And thanks to the Burning Alive talent from before, this will translate in more AoE mitigation and damage as well. The other option, Spirit Bomb, will make you be a carpet bomber in AoE, consuming a soul from an 8-yard radius around you and blowing up all enemies will make this talent the strongest offensive-wise. But offense is not everything it provides. Every target hit by the bomb will get a 20-second debuff that will make you heal for 10% of the damage you deal to them. Next up, we find Fracture as the only pick on this row. It will replace your default generator Shear with a more powerful, non-spamming one. Fracture will have 2 charges on a 4.5 second cooldown, and it will generate 2 soul shards every time it hits. Because of this, Fracture will give you more on-demand healing and damage and will synergize with the Fiery Brand Legendary as well. The other options of this row cannot compete with Fracture in order to be mentioned here, so sorry if you had any high hopes. On the Sigil row, all options are viable. That's it, go home. Oh, you wanna know more? Then stick around, cause concentrated sigils will make your sigils stick to you like flies on shit. It is the best raiding pick if you are not Kyrian, you pick Abyssal Strike, and you are raiding. You will get the most amount of DPS from this talent, with sigils having 2 extra seconds added to the effect, at the cost of always placing it beneath you. Quickened sigils will be the best pick in almost all situations by the Kyrians, as it will reduce the cooldown of your sigils by 20%, and it works with the Elysian Decree as well, making it a 48-second cooldown down from 1 minute. In utility, this talent competes with the last option on this row, as you are able to fear and silence enemies more often. But you know what you can do with this? You cannot feel like a motherfucking blood decay with 70% movement slow on his ass. Yeah, Sigil of Chains talent. This will add itself to your spellbook on 1.5 minute cooldown, and it will be the default pick in Mythic Plus in AoE situations. You will be able to gather all the mobs in one place, so all DPS will love you for that, as we all love mobs to be caught in tight spaces. On the demonic row, you will take demonic. Yes, we know. You don't have many possibilities again, but this talent is the best thing that could happen to this spec. When you cast Fell Devastation, you'll get Metamorphosis for 6 seconds, plus the duration of Fell Devastation. A very good defensive talent, especially if the RNG gods are with you when using the Dark Glare Boon legendary to push keys. The other talents on this row again are too weak in comparison to Demonic. And finally,
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Fuck, I'm old. But yes,
Last Resort is the go-to and only viable talent here. I know, but until the other options will become more viable, we will stick to this now. An 8-minute cooldown cheat that will bring you into Metamorphosis and can save lives, wives, and especially wives. This will heal you for 30% instead of letting you die, but note that it will not extend the Metamorphosis if you already are in it from Demonic or the spell itself. If you want to get the most around this option, just use Meta or Fell Devastation with Demonic after Last Resort has proc to maximize its duration. Being a tank, a Demon Hunter one, the most important stat you can get will be Agility, hence Atom level on the top of the priority list. And after this, you will have Haste as the most important defensive stat for the cooldown reduction it provides to Demon Spikes. Versatility is next in the stat desire list for the damage reduction and damage it provides, with Mastery and Crit at the bottom. Mastery being more important in raids for the buff to Demon Spikes it provides, and Crit will overtake Mastery in dungeons as the parry it provides and damage will be more useful in this situation. If you want to bring all the deeps to the table, then use 2 Lightless Force enchants on your weapons. And if you want to be a little more defensive, then swap one of those with Celestial Guidance enchant for that extra agility. Speaking of offensive and defensive, on your chest you can go for Eternal Stats for more juicy stuff on all your stats. Or go for Eternal Skirmish if DPS is your jam. Don't forget the Heavy Desolate Armor Kit for that extra stamina. You're a tank, so you need as much as you can. On your cloak, you can use the Soul Vitality enchant for bigger health pool, or the Fortify Leech one, which will usually bring more survivability to the table. And don't forget those agility socks. Winter is coming, so you know you will need the Eternal Agility enchant on your boots. Now, because Haste is the top dog stat in your defensive toolkit, go for the Quick Jewel cluster in those sockets and the Tenet of Haste enchant for your rings. Spectral Flask of Power will provide you with all the power you need. No, not that stamina bullshit flask. Give me more power! As for potion, use them all. Sky's the limit, but in the required and appropriate scenario. Potion of Spectral Agility for the general use. Potion of Phantom Fire will be the best for single target situations when combined with Shadow Core Oil. And speaking of combining with oils, Potion of Empowered Exorcism will be best in AoE. And finally, if you think the HP it provides will save you from a wipe, then Potion of Spectral Stamina will be the best potion for you. Oil your weapons with the Shadow Core Oil, at least one for single target situations, and in all other situations, but especially in AoE, use Shaded Sharpening Stones or Shaded Waystones, depending on your equipped weapons, at least once. Use the Feast of Gluttonous Hedonism to feed the demon inside you, and if there's no feast to be offered, you can also calm it down with the Tenebrous Crown Roast Aspic. If you, want to be the best tank there ever was, then you should join the Kyrians. Yes, you will be a big blue smurf. The Kyrians will provide you with Elysian Decree, a sigil that damages and shatters soul shards out of your enemies, a very good AoE burst spell, and also from the blue boys, and one of the best things a tank can ever have, File of Serenity from your Summon Steward ability. It's a personal health stone with 3 charges that clears all your bleeds, diseases, curses, and poisons when used. And did you know your steward can let you reset your talents once per day? Well, now you know. So more reasons to go with the Kyrians. Before Renown 57, Pelagos will be the best chosen soulbind, especially when raiding, because with the 3 potency conduits path, the blue boy will provide some very good and useful traits. Combat Meditation will bring all the mastery you need to buff your demon spikes when you will use Elysian Decree. If you manage to use different spells in a row all the time, then the Let Go of the Past trait will provide you with an extra 3% damage reduction. The Better Together trait is again another mastery boost for 1 minute that can also be passed to others when they come close to you. And finally, Newfound Resolve, the trait that made Pelagos stronger in the raiding scene, will provide you with extra agility and stamina. After Renown 57, Forgelight Prime Mechanicos will be the default soulbind to pick in every situation. He excels in Mythic Plus and AoE with traits like Hammer of Genesis for that extra haste when damaging a new mob. The downside for this is that it locks you to 2 potency slots, but for tanks this can be a good thing. Brawn's Call to Action is another powerful trait that will summon Brawn to knock your enemies around and damage them and heal you and your allies. Brawn is just great. Effusive Anima Accelerator is the reason why Mechanicos is so good, as it has the potential of making Elysian Decree a 15-second cooldown paired with the right legendary, making you blow up mobs non-stop. And finally, a choice between Reactive Retrofitting trait for M+, a shield you get according to the type of damage you receive, or Soul Glow Spectrometers for raiding to get that extra damage on the target you attack. If for any reason you will find yourself going DPS in, then Night Phase should be a considerable contender. The Hunt is your Covenant ability with a longer cooldown than Elysian Decree, but with more single target, and the debuff it leaves on your main target will heal you for 50% of the damage dealt. And in case you are missing mobility, the Fairies will provide you with Soul Shape, a 50% movement increase with a small blink attached to it. Lovely. The Soulbind of choice will go to Nia, as with the 2 potency conduits you will get useful traits like all of them are useful, okay? Grove Invigoration is one of those traits, and it will provide you with maximum health and mastery per stack. Note that the Hunt will provide you with 16 such stacks when used. Nia's Tools Burst trait will give you extra damage, while Survivor's Rally is a defensive trait that will heal you for a percentage of your total health when you fall under 50% HP. And finally, Bonded Hearts, the trait that will improve Grove Invigoration to heal other people. And if they are from different covenants, then both of you will receive 50% more mastery and health. For your conduits of choice, we will have Growing Inferno as the default potency conduit because it will increase the damage of Immolation Aura each time it deals damage. Your second potency conduit of choice will be Covenant specific. Repeat Decree for Kyrians, making Elysian Decree damage a second time after 1 second, and for the Night Phase, Unnatural Malice, which will increase the dot damage from the Hunt ability. As a third potency conduit, if you need it, you will have to choose between Adaptive Armor Fragment, an increase in agility when you are healed, and Soul Furnace, which will make Soul Cleave deal additional damage for every 10 Soul Fragments you consume. If you want to endure more, then you will have to get the Fell Defender conduit. It's the must-have endurance conduit for this spec, and it will reduce the cooldown of Fell Devastation. Condensed Animosphere is the new conduit from patch 9.1, and it's a must as well, providing you with some extra healing when you take damage. As the last endurance conduit, you will have a choice between Viscous Ink, a little more magic damage reduction, and Shadow Restoration, a little more healing from souls absorbed. So feel free to choose whatever you prefer depending on the type of damage you know you will take. In the fitness slot, the only one that will be helpful somehow will be Felfire Haste. This conduit will make you run faster for 8 seconds after you have used Infernal Strike. Ravenous Consumption can find its place in your toolkit in Mythic Plus usually, and will make you have a chance to purge 2 magic effects with Consume Magic. Now for the trinkets, you will need to farm the Blood Spattered Scale. It is a must-have. So I hope you like the other side dungeon because you will be farming this for a while. It gives both damage and shield and you can control when to activate it. So what more can you ask for? Well, you can ask for more defensive abilities with Shard of Anhil's Aegis for the damage reduction it provides with an explosion afterwards. Or Reactive Defense Matrix, another trinket from the raid that will reflect damage back to the attacker. If damage is what you need, then we got you covered with Phial of Putrefaction, the most often used damage trinket for melees from Plaguefall. And talking about best for melees, Salva's Fusion Amplifier from the raid will take the cake as well as an alternative. Honorable mentions go to the Tikken Nutsack of Terror used in raids, and some tanks still use Splinter Heart of Alar from Castle Nathria when pushing high keys. Next up, Tier's Domination. Shards of sets. Domination sets. Yeah. We have the Blood Transfusion Blood set, universally good, usually for tanks. Combine your set with this and core, damage shards, and you are all set for raiding. If you feel you need more tankiness, we recommend you use Kier and Zed as alternatives for the damage ones. Note that the Domination set only works in the Raid, the Maw, and Torghast. In Mythic Plus, you'll have to change your shards and pick the damage ones, Diz, Core, and Beck, together with Kier and Zed or Joss for a little more survivability. Yes, Legendaries. So for the Fiery Brand build the Fiery Soul Legendary on your Bracer as the best defensive one you can find. It will make Soul Cleave reduce the cooldown of your Fiery Brand for each soul it consumes. Now if damage is what you prefer, then Collective Anguish on your bracers is what you need. It will make your Fell Devastation summon you a Bloody Havoc Demon Hunter to use I-Beam at the same time. For our fellow Kyrian tanks, you can also get Raised Link's Defilement on your bracers once again. It will provide you with the most utility because of the cooldown reduction from Soul Cleave on a random sigil. And we have saved the best one for last. Dark Glare Boon has found its way to the top of the food chain. It has a chance to make Fell Devastation not trigger its cooldown and refund 50 Fury, and it also works best with the Spirit Bomb build. Plus, you can build it in whichever spot you want, neck or waist. Now for weapons, if you are lucky, the best one for DPSing remains Cruciform Vein Ripper from Paintsmith. But if you cannot get your hands on one of these beauties, then you should aim for Poxstorm Longsword of Pestilence from Plaguefall. Field your second weapon, usually with haste versatility stats, and you'll be good to go. For the purpose of keeping this video for starters, we will make this section with the Kyrian non-spirit bomb build. In this case, your opener will look like this. Pre-place Elysian Decree. Cast Demon Spikes. Then Infernal Strike into the enemy. Immolation Aura. Then Fracture. Fell Devastation. Soul Cleave if you have Fury. For the defensive part, as you are a tank after all, you will have to rotate through your defensive cooldowns, trying to not overlap them only if necessary. The easiest way is to start with Demon Spikes and try not to stay on 2 charges. Fiery Brand after, especially with the Fiery Soul Legendary, followed by Fell Devastation, and meta whenever you need to. For the single target priority as damage, you'll have to use Infernal Strike if you're about to cap. Cast Elysian Decree on cooldown, cast Fiery Brand on cooldown, then cast Fell Devastation on cooldown, Soul Cleave to avoid capping Fury, then Fracture, Immolation Aura, and throw Glaive as a filler. The multi-target priority will be the same as the single target one, as most of your starting abilities are all AoE, except for Fracture. Special thanks to all the big boys and theory crafters on Vengeance from the Fellhammer Discord for compiling information for you and me to use in our Vengeance journeys. And a special thanks to Vince, who helped us out with feedback and corrections to our research. A short disclaimer, this guide was made for people picking up Vengeance for the first time, or maybe returning players, so you can get what you need quick and easy and start playing. If you want to learn more about Vengeance and find out things like how effective hit points can alter your consumable choices, then we highly recommend you guys check in the Fellhammer Discord. A big and warm thank you to the Patreons and members from our community who keep supporting this content here and basically making all of these videos possible. We are forever grateful. And listen! You can join the Patreon family too and get some awesome desktop wallpapers with your main character, blooper videos, live monthly chat. So check the Patreon link in the description and see if there's anything there for you. And if you watched until this point, wow, what a legend. Thank you and see you soon.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.